Peace and welcome to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. Folks, we got a dynamic show for you today. First up, let's have a conversation about the idea of a third political party coming into existence. I'll share with you what Republicans and Democrats who said enough is enough has to say and how they want to move forward to save democracy. We'll have that conversation. Also, can we talk about what's happening with Issa Rae's new show, Rap Shit? Yep, folks. My man Jules B Fly, they got something to say about the show and what it means for the culture. Also, let's talk a little bit about friending bias. I'm gonna share with you what a recent research has shown on how people can get further along, especially children from low-income families can get further along. We'll have that conversation. And of course, we'll be checking in to do our part to share the life and the legacy of Bill Russell, as well as Nichelle Nichols, as we can lose two great legends and giants from our arts and culture community and sports community with Coach Butch Adams. And guess what, folks? Today it is officially 6 months since the beginning of the culture. Wow, 6 months. Stay with me. That's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the show. So happy that you can join us today as we have a lot to talk about. So exciting. And at the same time, we also are in our 6-month anniversary of having the show. So I'm really, really excited. As you can see, I'm rocking and rolling. Wherever I am, I got to do the culture because I wanted to make sure that we really did our best and did our part to show how much we appreciate you. And so the conversations today, of course, right in line with what we've been doing for the past 6 months. But most importantly, this is just an awesome responsibility. And most importantly, it is a rewarding labor of love. That's all I can say, a rewarding labor of love. But first and foremost, folks, let's talk a little bit. We got a number of big conversations planned for you. So let's talk about it. First, I want us to have a discussion about this idea of a third U.S. political party. There have been a couple of Democrats and Republicans who have said enough is enough. They decided to come together to create what they call the Forward Party. The Forward Party. Take a look, folks. As you can see here, most third parties have failed. Here's why ours won't. This comes from David Jolly, who was a former congressman out of Florida, and Christine Todd Whitman, who is the former governor of Michigan, and Andrew Yang, who is a former Democratic presidential candidate. They all decided to write this op-ed to discuss the Forward Party and what that means. But before we even get that far, I want to share with you some things, some notes based upon where we are in this country. And I'm so happy to have this conversation with our culture crew members, B Fly, who is the co-founder of Blackwater Production House, and she is a filmmaker. And then we also are joined by my man Jules P, who is a hip hop artist, activist, and just an advocate for youth leadership and youth development. Let's bring them back. Let's bring them into the conversation. B Fly, Jules, happy 6-year anniversary, y'all. Y'all been riding with us.
What's going on?
What's going on?
Hey,
yo, let me tell you, let me just, before we, like, look, check this out, my hair. Like, that's how I know.
Listen, that's the Pacific. That's the Pacific Ocean on you. That's that salt water.
That's so.
My hair.
Yes, loving
My
it.
hair.
Loving our growth.
Right,
loving
right.
the growth.
Right. The growth on so many levels, baby, internally and externally.
You feels me. You know what I'm saying? The crown is always a dope representation of, you know, our growth.
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
So there we go.
There we go.
This has been great.
There we go. All right, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the fact that there is really a talk for a third political party. Now, here's my question, and folks, you can post your comments on our YouTube page or on our Facebook page, and let's have this conversation. Do you think this is a sign, and Jules and B, y'all tell me, do you think this is a sign that Black people need to create our own party? If Democrats and Republicans, and I'm gonna just say a small number of Democrats and a very small number of Republicans decided to come together to create this forward party, is this a sign? Now, let me just share with you very quickly why I asked that question, because there was a Gallup poll that had gone out. Now take a look at this, folks. I want to share with you, I'm just pulling up my notes here very quickly. But there is a Gallup poll that was done in February of 2021, February of last year. And one of the things it said that 62% of people, of Americans, are now in favor of establishing a third U.S. political party. 62%. In September of 2020, it was only 57. It was 57%. So in a very short period of time, from September 2020 to February of 2021, it went up 5 percentage points. That's a lot of points over a very short period of time. That Americans are now saying that they want to see a third political party. They do not. A lot of folks in this country do not believe that Democrats and Republicans have what it takes to bring this country or to take this country into a better place. So let's just throw that out there first. And then now I want to share with folks what Andrew Yang, former Governor Christine Todd Whitman, and with David Jolly all had to say about this situation. Take a look here, folks. Keenan and Elise, let's put that on the screen. Polarization. This is, most third parties have failed. Here's why ours won't. Polarization is fueling a spike in political intimidation. In the past 2 years, we've seen death threats and assassination plots against members of Congress, governors, Supreme Court justices, and even the Vice President of the United States. Americans have lost faith in government. Nearly 8 in 10 say the country is headed in the wrong direction, according to a recent survey. And 2/3 of voters think neither the Democrats nor the Republicans have the right priorities. Take a look. Shockingly, roughly 30 million Americans believe violence against the current government is justified. The same number want to forcibly return former President Donald Trump to the White House. This is what happens when democracies fail. People feel their voices are not heard and radicalized to take up arms, leading to mainstream talk about civil war. The United States badly needs a new political party, one that reflects the moderate, common sense majority. Today's outdated parties have failed by catering to the fringes. As a result, most Americans feel they aren't represented. And then they finally said most third parties in U.S. history failed to take off either because they were ideologically too narrow or the population was uninterested. But voters are calling for a new party now more than ever.
Yep.
Wow. That came from David Jolly, Christine Todd Whitman, and Andrew Yang as their joint statement as to why they decided to move forward with the Forward Party. B, what's your take from this?
You know, Farajii, as I research a little bit about this Jolly character, I don't feel like his party is going to represent me. And I feel personally like this is just a ploy because he might be running for president.
Who you say, Andrew Yang?
Nah, Jolly. So
David Jolly. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily trust his motivations. We have parties that are popping, and we have the independents, we have the green, and we have a couple little other ones. At the end of the day, the majority of Americans feel one way clearly or another way clearly, right?
Yeah.
So to go deeper into these niches really open us up to more 4chan operated like political parties,
Yeah.
and so I believe that's what actually spurred the momentum behind January 6th. That's what is spurring this fringe white revolution, so it's like, so I'm leery about any other white male lobbyist desire to create another party led by the patriarchy that already has to be dismantled in order for any of us to have true liberation and freedom on this land,
Absolutely.
land, So yeah, this
That's a great
forward party seems like its intention is going to end up putting me backwards, which can't go down.
Look at Jules, look at B playing on words early in the show. This Forward Party is going to take me back.
Backwards.
And it ain't going up. It ain't going down.
All right, hey, Jules, what's your take on this? Do you think that this is, and I hear B's point, because I think that's a real great concern, because now we just have a distrust of a lot of government officials. It will be interesting to see which government official is like the most trusted individual, right? Especially on the Republican side. But do you feel the same way right now in terms of that sentiment? And is this a door? Does this open the door, Jules, for us to have a very real conversation about a Black political party?
So first, what were the three names you said that were creating this?
David Jolly, Christine Todd Whitman, and Andrew Yang.
And the fourth name would be Jules P. on the Black Star Network on The Culture last week, who said this exact same thing. I said this exact same thing last week. The trust in the Democratic and Republican parties have failed us as far as our generational gaps, because again, I agree with the article. Those parties are outdated.
Yeah.
They're focusing on the same issues going by this Constitution from the 1700s, almost 1800s. It was signed, around all those things were signed back in 1700s, 1800s. So It's like we're still using the same old principles to run the country. But the problem is both of the parties can never get along. So instead of them working together to solve the issue for 4 years, this side's arguing this side, this side's arguing that side. And then there's another election, and there's like, well, we didn't come to an agreement, so we need another president. It's like that's the issue. So my focus on this forward party is like, okay, are we going to run into the same issue? Because like B said, we also already have the independent party and the Green Party that we can put the backing behind if we wanted to do something different than the Democrats or Republican Party. But then when you focus on a black party, what?
I mean,
Because that's I feel like I feel like that's I'm trying to figure out how to word it. Like I feel like same way how the Black Panthers were. That's kind of sort of the mindset of the Black Party, what it needs to be. And
so
it's
you saying something more radical needs to. If we're talking about having a black party,
yes,
that essentially we need a radical black party. It can't be moderate.
Because you already have two moderate parties, so you're just going to blend right in and fall out of contention, and you're going to look right. You look the same. So you need to have a black radical party who's about to change, who's up in these streets doing the work, taking note for answer, and that's how you create this party. We don't need to be the same moderates because, again, the independent, the green, everybody's so chill, laid back, moderate, cool, calm. It's like, no, you need that. All right, if we're going to do a black party, we can't just blend right in. We have to go at these issues that affect us as a community that we can speak on with diligence, intelligence, and respect. Not false, not be a social media ploy, not try to go viral, actually be talking about things that focus on what we're going through as a culture. And that needs to be the representation of our party.
Right.
I love it. The Black Party. Yes.
Plain and simple.
Yes.
Well, see, here's the thing. And folks, post your comments on our YouTube and Facebook chats right now. Share your thoughts. But here's the thing. If we're talking about a black party, right? We're talking about a party that could go in a lot of different ways, being Jules. One that could just be strictly black, or one that can say, yes, we're talking about a black party. However, that black party would encompass marginalized communities, right? Or again, and here's the other thing, with Latinos and Hispanics in the country, they make up the second largest population according to the census, where we make up only the third largest outside. You have white people, Latinos, and then blacks. Where do they fit? Because their struggle, they're in the same struggle under white supremacy just as much. So there's a lot of things that needs to be discussed. And of course, we're talking about Asians. You're talking about Native Americans. So we would need to figure out a party that is built on a premise or idea that everyone can hold on to, which is a party maybe, I heard Minister Farrakhan say at the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March, he talked about the Justice or Else movement. He talked about the Justice Party. Now, he said that back in 2015. He said we need to establish the Justice political party. And at this point, it's like, where do we need to go? Let's look at the history from 50 years ago. I've talked about this before. 1972, Gary, Indiana. Black folks convened in a gymnasium in a high school gym. Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, the mayor of Gary, Amiri Baraka, and many others decided that a black agenda, a black political party was going to be the move. After that 3-day weekend of 10,000 people, that wasn't determined. They did some smaller little things, but a black political party was not born out of that conversation. So how would we go about doing it? Or is that something that the next generation, Jules, me, and us, do we need to move that forward and not think about the elders of the generation of our people?
I think it needs to be something that's a little bit more subversive, actually. And so even if we're taking this mock black party, all right, I love it. My company is Blackwater. My pseudonym is Black Jesus. I love black people. All right. So boom, black party. But what's important about black in the financial institution, right, is that when you go black, that means that you are no longer in debt. All right. America is in debt. The Black Party has the potential to actually focus on the American debt, which is important,
Mm.
and that American debt, number one, the first itemized line is the debt to Black people. Isn't it ironic how the people who built the White House are still struggling for their own education, but the builders of a manufacturer like Caterpillar in our country, their lineage is set up for life, but the Black Party should be able to ensure financial freedom, financial wealth, along with this nation actually being in the black when it comes to its gross national debt. So I vote for a new party. I vote for the Black Party, as long as we're able to actually keep our cost of goods in mind and pay the debts that are owed to Black people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else is just dancing around the shit, right?
Right. And and Jules, that's one of the big concerns, that we want to make sure that at the end of the day, we get right to the heart of the matter, right? Like if it's going to be reparations, if it's going to be voting rights, if it's going to be police reform, like all of the things that we're seeing that this current administration is kind of overlooking and hasn't been able to do. If it's also going to be representation,
Right.
like for example, with the Forward Party of Andrew Yang and Whitman and Jolly, they are right now saying, look, we don't have a candidate. They may not have a candidate running in this midterm election, or maybe not even a candidate in 2024, but they will start to endorse candidates that bring it on. And look, here's my thing. And this is going to be the first of many. This is going to just be a part of the many conversations around this idea. Because I know Jamel Bowie checking in, a writer for the New York Times, he's like, it doesn't work. Our current system won't allow a third party to come into existence and be successful. They have failed, right? And in reality, yeah, they have, but when you have a high level of dissatisfaction, that brings the probability of change becomes higher. Even though history may have shown that it may not have worked in the past, the dissatisfaction level wasn't there. Now, the dissatisfaction is high. There is a greater chance that, people might start to say, we need an alternative because we're all over the place right now. Right. Joe, what's your take on that?
So it's two things. And one, with this Forward Party, I had a light bulb go off when you were talking. You know what they could have did? Instead of calling it the Forward Party, call it the Minority Party. Here's why. Because you focus on we're not talking about just culture and race of African American, Latino, Asian, whatever, as far as that background, but we're also talking about the minority of people who don't agree with the majority, who are a lot of white people in the Republican and Democratic Party as well. So you call it the Minority Party because we don't agree with the majority. You know how many more people would have been interested in that? Because you're focusing on all aspects of people who share your same ideals instead of calling it the Forward Party, because you don't know what you're forwardly pushing. Right. We don't know that yet. You call it the Minority Party. These are people who don't agree with what's going on in government. So when you're looking at all these polls that you're saying from the Gallup polls and what the percentages are, those are the minority because we don't agree with what's going on with that. Plus you factor in the African American culture, the Hispanic culture, the Asian culture, that also say, hey, this is not fitting us as well, because we don't get a part of those Gallup polls, but we also don't agree with what's going on in the government right now. That's point number one. Point number two, since they don't have a candidate for their party, I got a candidate for the Black Party. I got a very good candidate.
Who?
Jemele Hill. Because she was on ESPN. She speaks fluently, educated, and she challenged the system. We don't want no punk ass person representing our party.
Fact.
I need somebody strong.
If she wants to run,
I need somebody strong. I want Jemele Hill as my Black Party leader.
Hey, look, the reality is just, Jules and B, as we close out, the reality is I'm open to having a lot of different voices. Hell, if you want LeBron James, I don't care. Hey, look, we're talking about interest. This is not about personality for me. You know what I'm saying, B? This is, for me, it would not be about status, money. It would be about where is your heart? Like, you have to have a track record of speaking truth to power, a track record of initiating change. You have to have a track record of using your platform not to promote foolishness,
Right.
but a platform that people can really hold on to. If Jamel Hill is one, by all means, sis, come on to this to the Black Party, come to the Black Justice Party, however you want to call it, right? It's all good. But at the end of the day, we need people that are serious about public service, B, and not just serious about being seen, getting money, or making a PR campaign about how they should be heard. Nah, we need real public servants. Let's get back to that old school, for years, and this is real quick, and then B, you got the final word on this. For years, I remember you when you did the council person in Baltimore, we got council people and all that. But when you did the council people, they have their little districts. I mean, they would make themselves known. You wouldn't see them all dancing in the parties and all that stuff. They'd be walking the streets, talking to the people, their constituents. We have to get back to that level of service instead of just being seen. Oh, you at this party, you hanging out at this concert, you taking a picture with this local celebrity and boom. Like, no. What is, I don't care about that. What about the work you're doing? That's the level I want to see it. B, you got the final word on this.
There's a particular level of criticism that we come to the table with today that wasn't present 2 generations ago. 2 generations ago, there was also a level of idealism that as time has gone on, we have become the jaded American. All right. So when the American, all right, becomes jaded, that means that there is no more dreaming. So we have all people in this process of waking up, trying to understand a new goal collectively, and until we're able to get on the same page with what that goal is, we're going to constantly be in the blows of critique with no ideal. I personally am waiting for, in my ideal world, Michelle Obama would end up running for president and should have. That's in my ideal.
I think that's in a lot of ideals, but she ain't showing no parts of that White House no more.
She don't want no parts because she knows that at the end of the day, there is a mission of the president to drive a particular capitalistic system for the elite and the elite only. So that's the system. That's capitalism until people literally move and denounce their citizenship. There is no real change. Do you understand that? Like, the country would have to come to complete desolation in order for there to actually be a rebuilding. That involves a few socialistic principles. But as soon as we start to engage on that level, then that's when the true swords come out. And so these conversations are, at the end of the point, always disheartening, because we realize at the end of it that the dream is a nightmare for the majority of the people. And in order to really win, you have to detach from your moral compass in this country in some way, and be okay with that. And so,
Come on, sis, stop dropping mics on us right now. Too early in the show.
That's just the truth of
Yeah,
it, you
no
know?
doubt.
So until we can say the truth and really speak peace to power, you know,
Yeah,
we're not going to be able, you know, to create a new party that actually represents the core values of America. Like we don't even pray collectively anymore.
yep,
And so there has to be some sort of system that allows for that, you
yep.
know. And so that's where and so that's where we go in these circles, and it's unfortunate, you know, but you have to be able to control your own financial future. Like that's what we're leading to, you know. and
And
and and there is no party that's going to actually fuel that for the average American, because it's counterproductive to the goals of the 10%,
mm,
1% at
mm,
this
mm.
point.
On that note, we're gonna pause that conversation, folks. I'm telling you, we're going to have more discussions, and so many of you are checking in and saying, "I don't know if this can happen," or "Yeah, this might be a possibility." Here's what I do know about history: history can show you what has been done, can give you the insight about what is possible, but it doesn't have to dictate your future. History can show you what has been done, give you insight about what is possible in the present moment, but it does not have to dictate the future. And that's one of my big pushbacks against Jamel Bowie and others who say it can't be done. It's not going to work. The system doesn't allow it. The fact is, if the people, and I am a true believer in people power, if the people say enough is enough, then guess what's going to happen? History will open the doors to reward the people for their faith and consistency. I know that because that's how we are gotten this far along, because of the civil rights movement, because of the Black Power movement, any movement of a group of people that have been marginalized and abused and oppressed that says enough is enough, then history rewards them for their faith. I know that. We've seen that. All right, look, we got to take a quick pause. As we get back, let's shift gears. I want to talk about upward mobility. There's a new study that came out to say that there is a way for children who come out of lower income households to climb up the economic ladder. They say there's one way that we have not really talked about, and this new study gives us some insight about how that can happen. That's going to happen in the second 30 of the culture right here on the Black Star Network. Just stay with us. We'll be right back.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punching!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Rolling all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Rolling was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Let's go into another part of the conversation, which is something that I think is pretty interesting, which is the conversation around upward mobility. Now, we oftentimes have had I think there needs to be a re-examination of how we're moving and the messages that we're giving when we're talking about moving up the economic ladder, especially in this day and time. In the book that I'm currently listening to on Audible is called the book, The Meritocracy Trap. If you haven't heard about this, this is an interesting study. One of our listeners recommended that I watch the author on another show via Twitter, so I appreciate her for reaching out to me about it. But it's called The Meritocracy Trap. And it's this idea that that we're currently in where we believe that a person's merit and their value and their worth is all rooted in their status. It's all rooted in the money that they make, and it's all rooted in the positions that they hold. And this is a continuous challenge for so many people in this country, especially children of Black and brown households, right? And the question becomes, is a Black child, for example, able to truly go up the economic ladder even after starting off in a low-income circumstances? Now, we often have heard about the rags to riches story, right? Where we talk, hip-hop artists, actors, entertainers often talk about, I didn't have anything, now I got everything. Well, that journey is often not one rooted in just, education. There is a different element there. According to a new study, social scientists are now looking and seeing that after years of telling people that, upward mobility, it depends upon education, upward mobility depends upon the money that your parents may have, there is another big factor which will lead people, especially Black and brown children, to move up the economic ladder. This came out of the New York Times. I want you to post, Keenan and Elise, let's post this piece from the New York Times where they talk about the importance of friending bias. Here's the important thing. It said that social scientists have made it a priority in recent years to understand upward mobility. They have used tax records and other data to study which factors increases the chances that children who grow up in poverty will be able to escape it as adults. It says education, spanning pre-K through college, seems to play a big role. The research suggests money itself is also important. Longer, deeper bouts of poverty can affect children for decades. Other factors, like avoiding eviction, having access to good medical care, and growing up in a household with two parents, may also make upward mobility more likely. But they said now there is another intriguing factor to add to the list. Thanks to a study being published this morning in the academic journal Nature, friendships with people who are not poor. Now, according to an economist at Harvard and one of the study's 4 principal authors, Raj Chetty, he says, quote, growing up in a community connected across class lines improves kids' outcomes and gives them a better shot at rising out of poverty. Wow. So we have to get into a better place, folks, where we are, quote unquote, friending bias. Those places where we often think, oh, nobody will want to see me, or, I don't belong there. That is one of the big, this might be one of the big factors to get your children into a better economic situation. All right, let's bring back our culture crew. Let's have a conversation about this. We've been talking, of course, Monday, Jules P, B Fly. Jules and B, talk to me about your thoughts on this, that you should friend people who are not poor. If you want to move up the ladder, that you should, it may be us as adults, but they're saying as children should even get into the process of friending people who are not poor. Parents should put them in spaces where they're connected to people who are already at the top. B, I'm gonna start with you because you got a son, like I have a son, right? And Jules, I know you have actually been in that space.
I got something to say here.
You've actually been in that space. But B, what's your take on that? Do you find some credence to that study, to that factor?
I so do. I do. It's true. Birds of a feather flock together,
Right.
And so when you are thriving, you want your child to be not only in a thriving environment, but around people who identify with thriving. And so, and that's real, thriving children play different than non-thriving children. The levels of socio engagement, end up being indicative to the struggle. Real talk. And so when you do want to raise a whole child, you want that child to be able to thrive. You want that child to be able to imagine, and you don't want to think about ceilings. And so all you're doing in your parenting is removing any ceiling that may hit in the future, And so in that right there is where the hopscotch really is, especially when you are Black. Because that's not to say that you're supposed to put your child around all white people.
No,
that's not to say that,
No.
And so it's like, and so understanding the nuances of creating a whole environment, for the youth is literally the same thing that all adults need. And we see that in the work in Baltimore that is drowning in nonprofit energy, and so through this research, we can clearly see the results of what happens when you are able to mix classes. We see the result of redlining, and when you keep this class over here and that class over there with the intention of them not mixing, they end up mixing on our streets. And
Yep.
so, and that creates a society of a very uncivilized people, for real, on
For
both
real, for real. I
ends
love it.
of the class end, of the class line. So we have to be able to embrace research like this in order to literally create holistic Americans. In the
Yep.
same way we teach the affluent children how to give back, we have to be able to teach the children who are in poverty how to climb up and what to look for and how to serve and how to show up and how to speak loud and how to
Yeah.
have an intention. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, all of this is a part of how we should be choosing our extracurricular activities for our children, so they don't just become aloof drones of the internet, because that's what's about to happen.
And let me tell you, not just drones of the internet, but also they don't become disengaged to the point where they don't even see their own value. Like, your identity can't be confirmed if you're always around the same people.
Right.
You don't know who you are until you are around
Tearing
different
your
people.
opposite
Jules.
down. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Jules, now you've seen this, and I want to get to some of the comments as well, but you have been in spaces. I mean, as a young brother, as a young man, you weren't just around Black people. You weren't just around quote unquote low income folks. You were around a lot of different people. Your mother made an effort to put you in a lot of different spaces. Talk to us about that experience, bro.
So that's the point I want to make, where I feel like I guess I might sound like I'm disagreeing with the article or the research, because one, as a child, you don't corrupt their mind because they're innocent. So anything they're doing is with innocence, and they're actually doing it from the actual love of their hearts. So when you put children around each other, they're not thinking of classism and space and financial. No, they're thinking of, hey, this is somebody new that I had never met before. Let's talk. Let's share our experiences. Let's see if we have anything that relates to each other, and let's move forward. They don't think about, well, they came from this neighborhood and I came from this neighborhood, or their parents have this job and my mother, like, they're so innocent when it comes to development that it's always leading with love and engagement. So that's why I kind of sort of disagree with the article, because it's like, all right, Sam, like, all right, in order for you, yes, in logical sense, yes, if you're around people that are doing good, you do good. Okay, you can think that, but there's people around Jay-Z that are not Jay-Z's level. There are people that are around Bill Gates that are not Bill Gates level. Then there's also people in these streets, on these corners, that are not on that level where they're going to downward. They're also bringing people out of the community as well. So it's like there's a well-verse of people being inclusive. So what I attribute it to is, it's like when you're growing up, because if you're basing this off of friending bias, it's like, all right, who you choose to be a friend. I 100% agree with that. You are only as good as the company you keep. But also, it's also good to not be the smartest person in your friend circle as well.
No. And here's the thing. This is one of the reasons why Nira and I decided to put our son into private school. This very reason. One is that we wanted him to have a kind of like an intercontinental experience, right? And I mean, yes, people say, oh, he went to a predominantly white school. Yeah, because the world ain't all Black.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to affirm his Blackness as soon as he gets home, but he has to learn early how the world and other people, right? But the other big part of it is not just the level of diversity. You're going to school, son, with people whose parents are doctors and lawyers. You're going to school, son, and let's keep this real, folks. And this is why I talked about the meritocracy trap. When people see the name of certain schools on your son's or daughter's transcript, oh, you went there? I know somebody that went there. You think everybody that goes to Harvard has an A, is an A student?
Right.
But does it matter when you graduate from Harvard?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? there's a certain, and I get it. You know what I'm saying? We have to be I think to your point, we have to be intentional about where we place our children, because you don't want to put them in the belly of the beast. You don't want to serve them up on a silver platter, you know what I mean? Whether it's white people or black people. But you do want to try to improve their chances to go further along than you did.
Right.
And have those experiences. All right, let's go to some of the comments that folks are checking in. Let's just start at the top. I think we got Brother King Lee. Let's hear what King Lee had to say. Oh, no, we got a lot more than we got. Oh, let's start with Rashida. Rashida, talk to us. Rashida said, yes, I totally agree with this. The right school neighborhood will get you better friends. My parents did it, and my sister is doing it. There's no shame in it. Yeah, there shouldn't be no shame in that, Rashida. There should be no shame in that. Why do we gotta beat each other up because we want to go to have a better education? I never understood this dynamic. We like, oh my God, you go to this school, boom, 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 bop, 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 and you, why? Why? When the whole thing is the child should go further along than the parents.
So one of the first things I learned at Clark in '96 was that my network is my net worth.
Come on.
You know, and so this is fundamentally true in all aspects of adulting. Fundamentally true. I can't tell you how many times I have been in an interview setting where I've been able to literally throw out my network and get through. I can't tell you how many times it's been because of my network I've been able to get through to the next part of my climb, you know? And so it's like, this is important. And I pour back into my network as well. And this is the way America works. And especially if we plan on recycling Black dollars in the future, especially if we plan on raising children that are entrepreneurial, we have to be able to give them the best resources available. And that is more than any parent can actually afford out of their pocket. You understand? So it's like, you have to be able to make sure that your child is friending in a lot of different zones. You never know where your child's core passion is going to end up hitting, you know? So you have to do all of the karate and the swim class and the gymnastics and the debate and the church and the choir and all of these things, you know, if you are parenting intentionally for your human, you know, and so that doesn't mean paying for all of things. And so a lot of times the way you're able to parent is going to be based off of your own network, you know, so it's
I mean,
you know, a lot of times we want our child to suffer, though, in the same way we had to suffer. And so that right there is a part of the dysfunctional parenting that somehow carries throughout generation and generation. You know what I'm saying? And so and one day we'll be able to like really eradicate that for humans. Like, my God.
Right. Hey, Mike, you checked in and said poverty is a policy-based structural issue. Create a more equitable system, and you'll have a more upwardly mobile outcome. Singapore figured this out in the 80s and completely nullified this issue. It is poverty-based. People are poor for a reason and because of a reason. Tia, thank you for checking in, Mike. Tia, you checked in. Hey, everyone, I just wanted to listen, but I have to share my 10 cents. We need to check out classism within our churches and even Pop Warner football. We need to reintegrate socioeconomically. Yeah, you're right. Belinda, you checked in and said, look, depending on the parental mindset, B talks about this, children are exposed to various communities or cultures due to the lack of travel, diversity. Yep, that is it. King, my guy, thank you so much for checking in on that, Belinda. I appreciate you. King, my guy, you said my parents would gather some of our economically poor relatives and take them with me and my siblings on trips, etc. Charity starts at home and then spreads abroad. Oh, that's dope. I think that happened in a lot of Black communities, though.
Mhm.
That has actually
did.
happened. I've done that. I've done that. Thank you, King. McCole, you checked in and said we have to immerse ourselves in diverse spaces because it gives us different perspectives. No doubt. No doubt at all. And I think that that's part of that's essentially what we're talking about here, folks. We're talking about getting us into a place where I want to see my son go into spaces. Like, I want my son to go to MIT. I want him to be an engineer, or he could be a filmmaker. He expressed interest. He said either engineer, filmmaker, or scientist. He expressed interest in all three areas. You know what I'm saying? So Nigel, I want him to always feel like daddy and mommy gave him the tools for him to play and explore before he settles down. I do not. I think it's a same thing with my daughter. I think we do ourselves a disservice. And in the Black community, we always want to stay in this bubble. We want to stay in this space. Hey, look, I was exposed. Once I went to School for the Arts in Baltimore, big shout out to BSA. That opened my world. I never became the same dude again. Never. I was in a predominantly white school, an art school. They looked at me not as a liability, but as an asset. They gifted me. They saw my talent and started to cultivate me and help me to shape my view of the world and of myself. I came out of that school knowing I was talented, I was smart, I was able, I had Black boy joy, I had all of that. You know what I mean? Like, that's what, when you are intentional about upward mobility, this wasn't even about economics, because the upward mobility really starts with the person. It starts with, not with the bag, but it starts with the human being. You got to think a different way. And that's the big thing for me. Like, we could talk about money all the time, the economic side of it, but the reality is, if your child goes into a space and he or she can't, they around you know how they see Jules and B, like my son going to some of these homes bigger than ours, boom, just big, you know what I'm saying? He'll be like, damn, man, you got a big house, you know what I'm saying? He had like he just never, he'd be like, oh, this is nice, okay, cool, where y'all play at? Oh, y'all play out here? Like, he doesn't trip, it doesn't get to him, because he's starting to get more, okay, so they got this and we got that. And I never heard him come, hey, Dad, why don't we have the big house like so-and-so? He always just accepted, like, okay, they at a different place than mommy and daddy is. Or would somebody come to our home and I could tell, when we have the neighborhood children over, they looking at me and they like, man, your dad is in the house. I'm like, yeah, bro, and I treat the little boys the same way. You're like, no, you my son. And once you're in the house, once you sit down, you need to clean up after yourself. You know what I mean? Like, these experiences shape children for the better. And it's just, it's fascinating that this study is saying that you want your child to move up and move forward, get them into the right network. And then, like you said, B, your network will determine your net worth. And that's what it comes down to. That is what it comes down to. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. As we move forward, let's talk about what's happening with this new Issa Rae show, Rap Shit. We didn't talk about it last week, just a little bit. Now Jules and B got a chance to watch it. Let's see if it really is good for the culture. And then later, we do our due diligence as we pay respects to Bill Russell and to Nichelle Nichols, two dynamic Black legends of sports and entertainment. And we check in with Coach Butch McAdams. So that's that. And of course, 6 months, folks. It's been 6 months. So we wanted to just say thank you. Stay with it. That's all happening in the next hour of The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We'll be back.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back. Let me change my camera view. There we go. Welcome back to the show, folks. So many conversations that we've had, and I appreciate all of you for checking in. Let's talk a little bit about where a cultural moment that I think is really, really big, which is the fact that Issa Rae has decided to move forward in creating another show, Rap Shit. Take a look at this.
We living, boy. We living. Look. When you're a successful artist, you know that money coming right back. I'll make this back today.
I just want to make music work for me. But all these female rappers have their ass out.
It's such a sellout move. What is it about?
You always complaining. You could have 1 million views too. Ugh.
What? To a reunion. Reuniting. I'm trying to get this money and give my baby a better life. We in Miami. We got the opportunity to start a rap group.
Shauna and Mia in the building. What's up?
Oh. Y'all remember her from high school? We hung out with her.
You hung out with her. She used to always think she was so smart.
F-L-O-R-I-D-A. I'm a Florida bitch and I'm here to stay.
I've been sending freestyle all up and down my timeline. I'll take y'all to the next level.
Cause I'm a Florida girl. So you know I guess it started up.
Vision. It just gotta be fun, sexy, in your face, you know?
Okay, it can be all those things, but my art is not for the male gaze.
Hey.
I want to make something relevant to people's lives.
Just say you want to be Queen Latifah and go.
Florida girl. Y'all got something special. I'll hit y'all debut performance. You better be ass shaking, titties bouncing.
Attention!
Let's go!
I want to try something different.
This could change our lives.
Gonna be some private jets. Some lobster. Who here like lobster? Speak up.
Come on, disperse.
Can y'all get your own area? Damn, y'all some grown-ass women. No, bitch, get freaky.
We making big moves. We got money, we got bitches, we got bottles, we got broccoli if y'all trying to be healthy. I mean, it's fried, but it's still broccoli.
I think I want to be mine.
If y'all play your cards right, all this can be regular.
No, bitch, get freaky.
The whole point of your music was to say something meaningful. This is the opposite of everything you stand for.
Excuse you. I'm so sorry.
Is you serious? You're supposed to have my back.
Sit right.
I just really want this to work, Shauna.
It's gonna work.
Now we just getting started.
It's me and you. We about to kill this. I want to try something different. Can I twerk on this? I should twerk on this.
You're gonna fall. Be careful.
Let's bring in Jules and B-Fly into this. So, all right, what's the verdict, y'all? I gave y'all a 1 week assignment, 1 week homework. Jules!
Yeah.
Is rap shit good for the culture or not?
100% good for the culture. It definitely, I watched the first 3 episodes, so it gives the in-depth perspective on, one, developing the characters, so we all know who they are. So that's kind of sort of what shows during their opening. So you really don't get your action to probably your 5th or your 6th episode. But it's this right now it's establishing the different characters in the first 3 episodes, so you know who's the who. So we kind of got a good idea of what the storyline is going to be. But I'm gonna tell you from what my takeaways from the first 3. So it's so funny that as me being a hip hop artist, it's like I'm looking at this show. It's like, yeah, this is 100% what I deal with. So I said, maybe this is my struggle. I ain't gonna say struggle. Maybe this is the reason I'm not famous, making millions of dollars on the jet somewhere, because I toe the line between both. I love making lyrical music, but also love ratchet music. So if you listen to my albums, if you listen to my singles, I do a mixture of both. If I'd have just selected the ratchet category, in my opinion, because it's easy for me as a lyricist, I can spit anything. It was an example when she was in the car, like her whole freestyles, all her raps when she was doing them in the bedroom, they were so power driven, women empowerment, moving forward.
Right. She was on that queen shit.
Right. And as soon as she got in that car, she was able to flow just based off of what's going on. And I said, I deal with the same thing. If I write, I can Kendrick Lamar any verse. If I freestyle, I can freestyle anything that's going on because I'm listening to what I'm listening to right now. It's literally about what you're listening to that affects what's going on in society. So I can look at the music that I listen to. I'm like, oh, when I rap, it's easy for me to just off the top, I can go in the booth and freestyle a whole entire album, and I know it will go platinum. But it's not what I want to talk about, and that's where the struggle comes in, because you don't have the balance and then towing that line of, is this what I really want to do, or this is the route that it's going to? And then again, Issa using social media in this is 100% what everybody is going through right now. That's what makes this show so powerful to me. The way that she uses social media in these episodes to develop these characters, and how these characters are always online looking at things, researching. I mean, even women doing what women do. When they see a man getting a like by somebody, they go look at that girl page to see why she liking your man page. Like just just the simple stuff that she breaks down in the show is 100%. Like this is definitely for the culture.
You like that? Hey, Jules, I'm with you on that as well, bro. I feel like that's exactly one of the big selling points for me. I was reading a piece, and it was like, the internet is real life in rap shit because it's real life. You know what I'm saying? Like that's exactly where we are with the situation. All right, B. Now you are a Black woman. For folks that don't know, B, I'm gonna just lay out a little bit more of your biography. You're actually a performing artist. You are a hip hop artist by trade and profession. You are a performing artist. You are a filmmaker. So these two professions actually, this is your world. This is your world. This is right there. Issa is writing about your life. B Fly. She took the whole story from the book of B Fly. I know she did. B. Don't worry about that. But what do you think of this? I mean, this is, of course, when last time we talked about it, it was like an ode to city girls, JT, Young Miami, who grew up in it. But more importantly, it's not about the personality. I think it's more about the fact that this show being in the cultural space that it's in. It's shot the way that it's shot through the lens of social media. It talks about everything from respectability politics and the impact that hip hop has made on women, how women see themselves. Where do you stand on this?
Listen, Farajii, I stand by where I was last Monday. I cannot consume this yet. I cannot. Like, it is too much of my life while I am lifing. You feel me? Like I need 5 episodes so I can binge and get to the place to where I can wrap my mind kind of around where this is going. Out of like this is and so Farajii, I'm sorry I ain't do my homework, but this is real. This is real. So I praise God for Issa Rae. All right. And her vision and capabilities and being able to fuse all of these mediums together to deliver the story for you. All right.
Yeah.
But the shit ain't no crystal stair. Okay. So it's real. And the older you get with the decision to be that. All right. The realer it goes. The line between respectability politics, what happens when you're writing versus when you're in the zone, all right, where you are with your moral compass versus where you're willing to go for your audience potentially. All of these elements are so real for me. Like, so I cannot do my homework until we get a little bit further down the line, because I'm too deeply involved in the crux of the what the fuckness. You know what I'm saying? And so it's totally real. You know, the line, but the business and the love, and then the womaning in that, and in the scrutiny that all of the yous participate in, that end up inadvertently shaping what is so divine between one girl and one pen in one bedroom, you know? And so it's so real. It's so real. So I need everyone to continue to watch. I will catch up when it is when it's safe within the series for me as a woman entertainer, business owner, lyricist, to involve my now creative heart into this process of watching other women do the same thing that I am struggling with and thriving through. You understand? And so it's like, so for me, the rap shit so real. It's not to be, I can't toy with it because the lines are so blurry between the fantasy and the reality for this woman. You understand? And so I can't even allow my critique to begin until we're further in and I can fully consume before I am taken away and wanting to and falling in love with these characters that I know Issa is going to make me fall in love with these characters. And so this is a part, you know, of the struggle, you know, and how much we allow media and other work to influence our work as artists. You know, everyone in this crew today are MCs. You know what I'm saying? So how much does media affect our work? As soon as we push play, I can't even listen to Beyonce right now because I'm too deep in creating and excavating like my own ideas. And the moment I push play, it's going to be affected. It's going to be affected, you know? And so where is that line?
You're just in a creative zone right now. And I get that. Like, you're in a creative zone right now. And more importantly, you're just in a space where, you know, you can't really entertain other people's artistry while you're focusing on your own. And that's just the artist's way of creating.
Not sure. Yep.
And so, you know, I respect that. I think that this rap shit, I think that there's an art. This is not just about telling the story of two women rappers, right? You know what I'm saying, Jules? Like, this is about making a statement.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's a statement that I think that Issa wants to make by showing that the whether it's the the misogyny in hip hop, whether that statement is that women should be able to speak their truth, you know what I mean, unapologetically, unfiltered, whether it's the statement of what B was saying, like all of the societal factors that have shaped, you know, how when a woman sees herself. Like, there are statements that are being made, which is why I appreciate the show. And there's a certain level of honesty to the show. There's a certain level of authenticity there that I truly, truly appreciate.
So that's what I want to say too. So the best part about this show is the authenticity. So let me for the listeners and viewers, let me relate it back because I'm not them, if that makes sense. I don't have to deal with the misogyny. I don't have to deal with the me using my body to get views and likes and like the way they portray it in the show. Okay. So let me relate this to the artist, quote unquote, the rapper, the MC on the panel. So I've been doing music for probably now, 15 years industry wise. My first two projects, Scorpio Fair, ASA2, and then even my first album, which I call everything's just a project. So all my first three projects, Art. So Art was my final project with my last label with that situation. So with the way I do music, I like to do music based off of what I like. So again, hence that's why I understand the premise of this show, because it's the music that's out here right now is what the show is based off of. The way I construct my creative process is I base my music off of what I listen to, not what's popular, but about what I listen to. So there might be music on there that's not relatable. So let me fast forward. The music that I love to do and I love to rap over and the beats that I love to use are not your typical stuff that would get played in clubs. Hence why when there's so many of these Baltimore area concerts, you never see me opening up for Jeezy and Boosie and all them because yeah, I make music and I make dope music, but I don't make the music that the masses that are coming to see them would be entertained for. So when Drake drops an album and he teases, and I had this conversation with a couple people. I said it's ironic. I said that Drake drops an album out of nowhere and it sounds completely different than what people are used to. And I said, you know what's going on here? I said that's probably a behind the scenes conversation. I'm not saying this is true, so I can't verify. I have no sources. I'm just using my common sense. I said I thought that was a behind the scenes conversation that Hove, which will, for the people that know who Hove is Jay-Z for the non-culture people. Hove probably had a conversation with Drake and was like, hey, this is the direction that I think me and B about to jump on. You're the biggest artist from the male side. We want you to be the tester. Throw out an album that sounds housey, that sounds EDM, that sounds third world, and let's see how the reaction is. So when B drops her Break My Soul single, we already have that build up in place. Because if she would have dropped it out of nowhere, that would have kind of caught people off guard. But since Drake already dropped the whole entire album sounding like that, that's where you got to get the build up for Break My Soul. And then I listened to Renaissance. It's like, okay, yeah, she got a couple of things over here that's some bangers. Like, but that's my type of music. I love house music. I love EDM. So fast forward to my premise now. I haven't dropped an album since 2016. I dropped singles in between then. I've dropped a lot of SoundCloud. But the music I make is house and EDM music. So guess what that did for me? It now gave my fan base, oh, this is the stuff Jules already was doing. I just featured it on songs. So where I have an album with 16 songs, I might throw 2 or 3 songs that have the EDM and house feel, just to give people a preview of the direction that I'm thinking about going. Right. So it now allows me to give you the culture exclusive. Jules P has been working on his next album.
Come on.
Jules P has been writing his whole entire album. He's going to record it, and I'm going to actually plan to release it on my birthday. The thing that people need to understand is this is the album that I've always wanted to do. But when you're dealing with a label, they kind of sort of tell you what direction to go, what to do. Yeah, they say you have freedom, but I couldn't do my whole album, my house EDM album back then. I still had to have songs to pertain to this subject or songs to pertain to that subject or talk about what's going on. I mean, my last album, the reason it was so long ago, because that's literally when Freddie Gray had got killed. So it was like a lot of the music that I was doing was focusing on rebellion, regardless of how the beat sounded or how the movement was. But I was just like, bro, like this is too much. Like it just was body of Eric Gardner. Like it was so much going on at that time that I needed to break. So I took a little break. I dropped a single, maybe 2 years later, Toxic.